Hello, Earth Science. Welcome back to the bunker. I wanted to give you a quick update on what the plan is for this week. What I know about so far is we are supposed to come back to school on April 13th. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, but next week, starting April 4th, is supposed to be spring break. I plan on honoring that. I don't plan on assigning anything. As of right now, I don't know what's going to happen. What they're going to come and tell us we have to do for next week, but my plan is not to have anything for you for next week because it is spring break and you need to get out and relax and enjoy yourselves to the best of your ability, considering the circumstances that we have. If something happens where they force us to do something, I will find some way to make sure that you guys get a spring break. But as of right now, I'm not 100% sure what is going to happen after Friday. What I do know, though, is what I'm expecting you guys to get done this week, and I'm going to kind of walk you through that right now. We're going to do a little Constellation project activity type of thing, and I want to show that to you right now. This will be available on Schoology, and you can type all your answers directly into Word. I will be putting it up there as a Word document, and then you can just save it and upload that this way. So, this is what this looks like. You're going to download this. We're doing activity constellations. First part, pretty straightforward, right? Just background stuff. I want you to define right ascension, declination, meridian, zenith, horizon, constellation, and asterism. And then find how many constellations there actually are. First part's pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. I hope to be posting some notes that I will attach onto here as well. That should help you answer those questions and kind of get a sense of what we're looking at when we look up. For part 2, there's going to be this table down here, and I've given you a lot of websites that you can link to help you find the answers to this, but you're going to pick 5 constellations. We want those constellations to be seen where you can actually see them up here in the northern hemisphere, all right, where we are. All right, and then you also actually need to be able to see them now. Right, don't pick a constellation from September that you won't be able to see at this time of year. I want you to pick a constellation that you can see at this time of year. Something to help you figure that out would be just set up your planisphere for this time of the year. That'll give you a good idea of what sort of things that you're going to be able to see either in the nighttime sky or in the early morning sky. The other thing I'm looking for is just pick one that's a sign of the zodiac. There are 13 of those. And we're heading into the time of year for Aries and Taurus, so those will be available. And same thing, you can look at your planisphere to help you find those things. Zodiac signs are generally animals. That's where the Zo part of that. You know, Taurus is a bull, Aries is a ram. There's a lot of those types of constellations that are like animal-like constellations. They're not necessarily all animals, like Gemini is the twins, for example, but a lot of them are animals. The key with zodiac constellations is they fall within the ecliptic. The ecliptic is an imaginary line through space that the sun follows as we go throughout the year. It's the imaginary path of the sun through the sky, and the zodiac constellations all appear right along that area where the sun's path happens to be. So I've given you a bunch of different websites that you can go to find information about constellations. But what we're looking for is you're going to pick one of the constellations. Actually, you're going to pick 5 of them. We're going to write their name down here. You want to know what that name means. All right, so you'll find a name meaning like that. And then stellar coordinates are the right ascension and declination. It's kind of a latitude, longitude type thing. Declination generally refers to how its altitude in the sky, like how high above the horizon does it happen to be, and whereas right ascension is in comparison to kind of like a longitude, to the middle sort of portion of the sky, right and left from there. For mythology, most things tell a story, and in the notes that I'm going to be posting, I will talk about some examples of some of that mythology, but most constellations were made to tell a story about what the ancients saw when they saw these things and what sort of stories that they told using these stars in the sky. For the best viewing, when is the best time of year to see that constellation? And then for zodiac sign, it's a simple yes or no. Is this a zodiac sign? Filling out this table, I would like to think would be pretty self-explanatory. All right, that takes care of. First part was the background questions. The second part was this table. The third part is going to be a little bit more of a project, something a little bit more hands-on. Go down here to this next part. You have two different ways to do this. Zoom in here for you. Option number one, if you have Instagram and you want to be kind of more techie about it, I'm going to have you make an Instagram post to show off the constellations that you found. To do this, there's actually a couple different apps that you can use. One of which is called Skyview Lite. You can download that one, and what it does, I'm trying to had it open up, and I lost it. What it does is it allows you to point your phone at the sky, and it'll give you some information about what is there right now. So I'm going to bring this up here on the screen. We can see it. No, there's too much reflection. But you can kind of see it a little bit. Hey, there's a bear. All right, you can point this at the sky, and it'll show you the constellation that happens to be up there in the sky right now. You can point it at anything. If you see a star up there and you're wondering what that is, you point the camera at that star, and it'll identify that star, or maybe even a planet that happens to be there. It'll name constellations. It has a red line through it that'll show you the horizon. It'll show you where the International Space Station is. It'll show you where the Hubble Space Telescope is. All in all, it's a pretty nice app to have when you're trying to kind of identify things you see in the sky. The other thing that is nice about it is that you can take a picture of what you were looking at when you're using the app. All right, so you can take a picture of the constellation using the app, and then what I want you to do is take that picture and create an Instagram post that has that picture of each of the constellations that you found. This is why it's important to make sure we're picking constellations from this time of year, so that you can get that picture. So you're going to create an Instagram post, and as you can see on here, you're going to tag me, all right, with this hashtag on there, and then just give some brief information from your research from that table about each constellation. Something that might be helpful to someone in the future. You know, the name of the constellation, maybe what that means. Talk about maybe some of the mythology. It's up to you to be as creative as you want with what you share on that. So that's option number one that you can do. The other thing you can choose is to make kind of a diorama. In this case, we're going to pick one of the constellations that you chose, any one of the 5. Okay, and then grab a piece of poster board, get some string, and then something that can pretty much act like a ball. You can do cotton balls, you can do wadded up paper, wad up some foil, something that you got around the house. And then some sort of cardboard, black poster board would be great, but I'm sure that's not one of those things we all have lying around. I'm looking for just use things that you have lying around the house when you do that. On your poster board, though, we're going to plot out where the stars are located. Okay, so we need to know where the stars are located and essentially draw that out to the best of your ability. Then you can look up like how far away each of the major stars in the constellation, how far away are they from Earth. Based on that, then we're going to have you cut the pieces of string that you're going to use, and so that they're different lengths, and those lengths represent how far away is the star from the Earth. If you have a star that is much farther away, you're going to use a shorter piece of string. If you're going to have a star that's much farther away, all right, much closer, you're going to use a longer piece of string. Okay, the idea is that when you hold this up, if you're looking, let's say if you put this up on the ceiling, when you look up at it, you're going to look and see what the constellation looks like from the Earth. However, the constellations that we see from the Earth are just that, they are from the Earth, right? If someone on a completely different planet were to look at that same area of the sky, they may see something completely different because these stars are all different distances.
Okay, so for part of our constellation project, one of the options that you have is to make your own constellation. This one is actually hanging from the ceiling down here in the bunker. This is one that my son made with me when I was trying to explain to him what the project was like, and I thought we could make one so you can see an example. The idea is that this is the constellation that he made. Get a big, long explanation for it, but it was way too long to fit into this quick video on what to do with your assignment. But what we're looking for is we want to see, constellation shows you a shape, and you see different stars. And each of these white balls on here represents a star, and each of the dots represents, the red dots there represent where that star is, kind of on the black background of space. Now, I didn't have any black paper or black poster board or anything like that. This is actually an old Amazon box that I butchered and turned into our constellation. The idea with this, though, is the balls are all hanging from a string. So this is the way you would see the constellation if you were standing here on Earth, how it was all lined up with each other. But if you go somewhere else in the universe, it might not look that way because, as we know, stars are not all the same distance away on top of that black background of space. They are actually many different distances. So from Earth, this constellation would look like this. However, from out somewhere else out in space, when you start to do this, they're all different distances apart. So now the constellation has a different shape to it. And even if you go around to a different side of the constellation, once again, there's a different shape. So for this part of the assignment, if you choose to do this constellation project this way and make your own constellation, you're going to make the constellation and design it so you can see what the constellation will look like from space. But we also want to take into account how far the stars are away, so that if we were to look at it from the side or from a different point somewhere in the universe, so we'd be able to see what that constellation would look like, maybe from a different planet.
So you can create your second option, aside from the not doing it, if you don't do the Instagram post, would be to make this kind of diorama that has a dangling constellation like that you can set up from there. If you have any questions on this, you know how to get in touch with me. I will be holding office hours this week on, I had that written down a second ago and I lost it. I will post in those office hours. They're going to be on Thursday from 3:30 to 4:30. I'll set up a Microsoft Teams meeting link so we can all get together. That way, if you have any questions on that sort of thing or final questions before you finalize what you're working on, you can do that. If you do choose option 2, when you upload this worksheet, this assignment, please include the picture of the constellation that you made with the assignment that you upload. If you choose the Instagram option, you're going to tag me on it, so I'll be able to check it that way. So you can just upload the assignment and then tag me on Instagram with that part. If you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know. You can either get in touch with me on email or on Schoology. You can send me a message, or some people have been sending me messages through Remind, so that is an option as well. I hope everyone's staying well and not going too stir crazy at this point in time. And hopefully we'll see you soon.